How much money would it take for you to change your life? Right? What is a life changing amount of money? And I had ideas about the amount that it would take for me to change my life. Mm, Then I actually got to the point where I did make enough money to truly change my life. Made enough money to where I could stop working my job, and I have not worked a full time job in the 4 years since then. So I want to make not only this video, but a series of videos explaining exactly how I did that, right? And I'm going to start off by telling a bit of my own story, right? Started out in high school and was very interested in the stock market, right? And there were kind of two aspects that really interested me. One was the fact that it was like always changing, seemingly at random, but at the same time, some people, like hedge fund managers, were seeing through the random movements and using that to make billions of dollars a year, right? The other aspect of it was just similar to that. Like, I really enjoyed math, right? Math was my favorite subject. And so the idea of being able to apply mathematics to understand something that was so foreign to me, so random, and possibly make boatloads of money in the process really excited me. So I decided that I wanted to study mathematics and economics to eventually land a career working in finance and trading stocks, right? And at that time, I wanted to be a hedge fund manager. I wanted to get to $1 billion. But what I also came to realize was that my motivation for getting to that $1 billion was a sense of status and a sense of accomplishment, right? A sense of like, this will show my own worth, my prove that I am exceptional. And as I got to college, that desire to kind of prove myself in that way and view my status in relation to money in that way, those things kind of faded away for me. So I still studied mathematics and financial economics, as you can see, but I didn't want to go into stock trading, right? What I instead wanted to do was to go into government, right? Be a government employee and help make government more effective and more efficient, right? I knew that I would never ever get $1 billion in terms of my salary working in government, right? The government rates are capped for federal employees. And so, like, knew what I was getting into, knew it wouldn't happen. But I also did continue trading stocks on the side in my own time, right? And did that throughout my career, right? I was very interested in getting to the point where I could be self sufficient just off of the money I was making from stocks, right? At the same time, while I was in government, I wanted to move up as well, right? I wanted to be a high achiever. I wanted to be effective in my job. I wanted to help people. So I did that. I started the Department of Defense, then went to the Department of Commerce, then went to the Department of Health and Human Services, then went to the Department of Treasury, then I went to the Administrative Office of the Courts, helping the Defender Services Office in the Judicial Branch, and then I ended with the Department of Transportation, right? During my career in government, I was someone who moved up the ranks very quickly. In fact, I don't remember across all that time, all those departments, meeting someone who moved up as much as I did, as quickly as I did, and certainly not across the breadth of experiences and places that I did, right? So each place going in, being the new guy, the low man on the totem pole, having to work my way up, but proved myself, showed my skills, got to the point where they wanted to promote me, and I was able to use that to my advantage, right? It helped my salary grow. Started, if you're familiar with government kind of pay scales, started as a GS7, left government as a GS14, right? Came into government 2014, left 2022, right? But got the GS14 in 2021, right? So by other standards, moved up very, very quickly. However, in 2021, I actually made life-changing money, right? And at this point, I'm even going to show you a little bit of my tax return from that year. I'm also looking at it over here. So I'm just look at the numbers to show you, right? From my full-time job, where I had to account for 40 hours of work for each of the 52 weeks of the year, right? 2,080 hours. I made a little over $110,000. From my stock trading, I made over $119,000, right? And the thing I want to highlight here is that stock trading is not work, right? For me, it has never been work. It's never been something time consuming. It's never been something I sweated over, never had to set my alarm clock, go to a meeting about it, file a TPS report and listen to a boss, deal with customers that were not quite happy or whatever. All those things I had to do in work, I did not have to do with stock trading, right? What I would even like to do is now share a little bit of a video of me making a trade just to show you how quick and easy it actually is. So I got my phone in my hand here. I'm gonna go ahead and make a trade right now. Opening up the phone, going to the app, opening the app, authenticating, going down to the shares I have, hitting trade, hitting sell, entering the number of shares, review, swipe up to submit, and it's done. That fast. I literally just made thousands of dollars that quickly. I'm doing this to convey the idea that the money you make does not have to be tied toward the effort that you put in, right? There is another way to think about things. And when you're really thinking about things this way and then executing on it, it changes the way you see the entire world. After seeing that, I hope you do realize and understand that it is easy. And so the first thing I'm gonna do is take a step back. And some people say stock trading, isn't that just gambling? No, it's not, right? Gambling, the odds are stacked against you, right? You go to a casino, you do sports betting, the saying is true and it's there for a reason, the house always wins, right? The odds are stacked against you, and the more you play, the more, on average, that you lose. Stock trading is something different, right? It is lending your money to companies and you get something tangible in return, right? You get a share of ownership of that company in exchange for the money that you invest. There is also the expectation that the company works, creates a profit, and shares that profit with you, its owners. So it's a win-win. The company needs money to operate. You buy in the stock to give the company money. In exchange for you giving the company money, they give you back even more. And as the company grows, the stock price also grows. So that is the fundamental premise, right? So I've already touched on two important points here. Like, one that I want to really highlight in this video is that the money that you make does not have to be attached to the work that you do. As I have lived in my life, right, you can make money without working at all, right? I have not worked a full time job in 4 years now, right? And the only job I have worked in that time was a part time job for about 6, 7 months or so, where I helped a friend in his family's business, right? And when I went to that job, I started working for less than minimum wage, right? That is an opportunity that I never would have considered if I actually needed to make money for a living, right? But that's the other thing. Having money gives you options and gives you a greater freedom that you wouldn't otherwise have, right? It allowed me the opportunity to work with one of my closest friends, right? To try and turn work into fun by working alongside him, talking to him throughout the day. I feel like he and I have deep conversations, talk about things that probably don't talk to others, probably don't talk to anyone else, covering those same topics. So it was really a special opportunity for me. And it exposed me to more accounting, which I feel like accounting gets into how to keep more of the money that you make. So I'm starting this series of videos talking about wealth to share what I think about stocks so that that insight may be useful to others, right? How I was able to move up in the workforce faster than others so that that insight may be useful to others. And even before working, right, I was a very good student, right? Double major as an undergraduate, have another degree over here as a graduate degree, right? 3 degrees in 5 years, right? Went to the top high school in the country, turned down multiple Ivy League schools to get a full scholarship from the school that was ranked #1 in its quality of undergraduate teaching, the #1 public school in terms of its quality of undergraduate teaching. So I've gone to the best schools. I've moved up very quickly in the workforce. I've developed the ability to trade stocks successfully to make money without having to work. And along the way, I even flipped a house, right? Bought a house in, I think, 2015. About 4 years later, 2019, sold it for double what I bought it for. So I hope to share insights from all of these activities, all these things I've done, so that you can understand how I think about the world and use that to your advantage, right? What I do not want to do, what I'm not interested in, is giving you particular financial advice about your particular situation, right? I'm going to share what I've done, how I think. You'll have to listen to that. You'll have to interpret it. You'll have to decide what's best for you. You'll have to do that without me. But I want to do my part in sharing what I know and sharing how I think, because I think that will be truly informative and hopefully help broaden your perspective so that you have more options in how you navigate your life. So I'm excited to be making these videos about wealth. I hope that you maybe are starting to think a little bit differently already about money and working and how that may look for your own future and your own life and just for the world, right? Because there's some people out there making way, way, way more money than I've ever made. And it may not be because they're smarter or they worked harder or had additional opportunities, right? It may just be that they understand certain principles. And some of those principles are the ones that I hope to bring to light in these videos. So thank you for watching. I wish you the very best, and I love you.